I'm in Southeast Ohio again today at the Habitat Oasis project, and I thought I would spend a little time today following up on my video from a few weeks ago, how I outgrew the 1025R. When I shot that video, it got me thinking, is it time to sell this tractor? Is it not getting the use that I intended, and could I put my money elsewhere? So I've been doing some thinking about that, and I'm going to share some thoughts with you. But before I get it kicked off, for those of you that have not seen that video, I'm going to revisit a couple things of, why did I buy this tractor? How did I outgrow it? And kind of look ahead at whether it makes sense to keep it or not. So first off, this is a 2016 1025R. I own 25 acres in West Virginia, just south of Parkersburg, and I bought this tractor to help maintain it. It is probably 23 acres of woods, a couple acres that I could mow and do food plots on. So I bought this because I was mowing that place with a Craftsman 42-inch mower that pretty much beat you to death and took quite a while to do the mowing. And I wanted to be able to do some food plots. So I wanted a brush hog, I wanted a tiller, just basically wanted a little compact tractor that I could do projects with. So that's why I bought it. Then we get into how did I outgrow it, and basically I outgrew it with more things that I wanted to do. As I mentioned, I'm in Southeast Ohio now. This is where I spend the majority of my time working on the Habitat Oasis project. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take you back to the Habitat Oasis project. I'm going to show you a little bit of what we maintain out there so that you get an understanding of why this tractor just wasn't cutting it anymore. So with that, let's head back to the Habitat Oasis project, and I'll show you what we're doing. I'm back on Josh's hill, which he has 70 acres that he bought back in 2013. And when he bought it, he had a Massey Ferguson, 25 horsepower Massey Ferguson tractor. He picked up a 2032R a few years later to help maintain this. But what I'm going to show you, I'm going to turn the camera around here, is we've got about a 7 or 8 acre field here that needs to be mowed a couple times a year to keep it from getting brushy, filling up with autumn olive. So I'll flip the camera around, show you that, and when you're looking at it, what you can see is it's a good sized field. There's a tree line on the far edge. That is a neighboring property. And Josh and I would sit up here and talk about that property, and he mentioned a lot of times, someday I want to own that. And a couple years later, we purchased it. So that gave us 150 acres. So we had the original 70 that he owned and the additional 80. I'm going to zoom into a hill off in the distance just to give you a sense for how much property it is and how far out there we go. And that's still probably the front 1/3 of the property. But I'm going to go ahead and drive out there real quick because I want to show you. Josh was maintaining this front 70, and he had to do that with his Massey Ferguson and 2032R. I'm going to show you how things changed when we bought the 80 and why I decided that the 1025R wasn't big enough. So let me take you out there onto the 80. I'll show you what we're maintaining out there, and it pretty much explains how I outgrew that 1025R. Okay, I'm back on the 80 now, and we basically came from that far hill that you see there in the distance. So we made the trip around, and I'm standing on the hill that I'd shown you earlier. So when you look, you can see there's quite a bit of property here that we're trying to maintain. It's covered in invasives. It's got autumn olive, Sericea lespedeza. So we're doing a lot of mowing, tilling, planting. And with the 1025R, this just became something that took way too long to get the job done. So as I pan across here, we're probably looking at, I don't know, 25, maybe 30 acres here that we were mowing with Josh's 2032R, which has a 5-foot brush hog and a 5-foot tiller, and the 1025R, which has a 4-foot brush hog and a 4-foot tiller. So the projects were just taking too long. You can see there's a lot to do here. Again, we're probably looking at I don't know, it's probably not 25 or 30 acres, probably closer to 20 acres, but that takes a long time when you're doing it 4 feet at a time. So that was one of the main reasons that I decided I needed the 4052R. So let's head back to the barn, back to the tractor, and I will talk about the decision process for whether I keep the tractor or sell it. As you can see, we graduated from maintaining that 25 acres in West Virginia and really maintaining about 2 to 3 acres down there to a much bigger project with over 150 acres here on the Habitat Oasis. It's too big of a job for the John Deere 1025R. It's not that this thing won't do the work, it's that it just takes too long to do it, and some of the work definitely was taxing the tractor. So that was the reason for the 4052R. So now the question becomes, do I still have a use for this thing? Is there a reason to keep it? And I put together a couple different thoughts on it. So I'm going to pull up some of my notes here. One of the things that I thought about was Josh has his 2032R. I've got the 4052R. With the 1025R, when we need help, there's several people that can use it. Josh still has his 25 horsepower Massey Ferguson. We've talked about being able to put both the boys on the tractors and have them help us with projects. So get them started on smaller tractors. I've also got my girlfriend Debbie, who enjoys mowing with the tractor, so she will mow for me, and so that works well. She'll also brush hog. She enjoys working on the tractor, so having the extra tractor definitely works as far as having helpers. So we've got the bigger tractors, but we've got the small tractor too if we've got help from people. Other thing, this was something I put in a video, I think it was last year. The 1025R does work well in tight spaces, and we've got a particular area back there where I planted some blueberry bushes that's pretty tight to mow between them, and with the small brush hog and the 1025R, I'm able to get in and out of those tight spaces. Works pretty well. It also, when it comes to working in the woods, it takes a lot less space and a lot less clearances to work in the woods. So from a getting in and out of tight spaces, 1025R works pretty well there. I mentioned that Debbie enjoys mowing, and I do still have that property in West Virginia, although I've been thinking about selling it. So when the tractor's down there, she will mow for me, so I do still need a way to mow. So as much as I think about selling it, I would be back using that 42-inch Craftsman. So this is definitely a much more pleasant experience for mowing. And in the back of my mind, I'm still planning on having a place here in Southeast Ohio, and when I do, I'm assuming I'll have property that needs mowed. So the mower and having the 60-inch deck on this, that's another big win. So that goes in the win column for keeping it. Next item, snow removal. The 4052R will certainly do snow removal for me. I can put the blade on that, I can use the bucket, I can do snow removal. But this last year was the first time that I had it at my home up in Columbus, and I was able to clear the driveway with it. So that was something that it was awful nice being able to clear the driveway and not have to deal with the snow shovel all year. So clearing snow, this is still a great option for clearing snow at the house, and it's I can easily park it in the garage for the winter. So clearing snow, another win for the tractor, keeping it. Speaking of mowing, speaking of snow removal, transporting it. We do not have a vehicle, I shouldn't say vehicle, a trailer big enough to trailer the 2032R or the 4052R. This does fit on my 12-foot trailer, and my car is able to pull it. So from a ability to transport it, this gets another win there. And then one of the big things about this is it's May 2021. This thing is 5 years old with John Deere 0% 5-year financing. This thing will be paid off with the next payment. So a lot of things that add up that say, hey, you should keep it. From a get rid of it, there's some money tied up in this thing, and I could sure unload this thing, and I could look at buying a few other things. And one of the things that I see a lot of people talk about is zero turn mowers and how efficient they are, how much faster they mow and better they mow. I've thought about that, but the reality is a zero-turn mower does one thing. It mows. And I like the versatility that comes from this. So not having just a mower. I like having the loader. I like having the features of it and in a smaller compact unit. Other things that that I look at, if I were to sell it, maybe I could buy additional attachments for the other tractor. But right now, I feel like I'm set pretty well. This tractor, it's a 2016. I think I've got about 160 hours on it. It's always been at a property that I didn't live at, and therefore it was only getting a few hours of use each month. So it's in great shape. I hate the thought of selling it and then deciding, man, I'd sure like a small tractor, and then I'm out either buying new or buying somebody else's used tractor. I know how this has been taken care of, and hard to beat the low miles that are on it. So I don't know, I'm curious what your thoughts are. If you had this, if you had a 4052R, if you had access to a 2032R, because that's what Josh has. So if I wanted to borrow a tractor smaller than the 4052R, I could certainly use his 2032R. If you had access to both those tractors, would you hang on to the 1025R? Curious what you think. Leave a couple comments. What are the unique uses you have for the 1025R that maybe I should think about before I think about selling anymore? Although I think I've just talked myself into hanging on to it. But yeah, it's been a good tractor. I really do have a pretty hard time thinking about selling it, but interested in your thoughts. So hopefully maybe this gave you some ideas of why you should either get a 1025R or hang on to the one you have instead of upgrading. When you do upgrade, I'm not even going to get into upgrade. We've got all kinds of videos in our buyer's guide about different size tractors and why you might want one. So I'm just going to go ahead and wrap things up. I want to say thanks for joining. I hope this was beneficial. If it was, hit the like button, subscribe, share our channel with your friends, and keep in mind what we always say, outdoors is always in season, so get outside and enjoy it. Thanks. See you next time.